You're looking at a daily chart of the Russell 2000 index. Welcome to my daily review. I just pointing this out because the Russell 2000 is a small cap index, and this move today indicates that institutions or investors are more comfortable with adding risk. This thing was up to 2.7% today. And you could see that it was above average volume pretty much there. Yeah, or average volume. But anyway, I don't really care about the volume. You could see that it stopped going down, had this brutal time in March, has about 17% local small bank components. And you know what happened to the regional banks. But, you know, here the last week or so, this thing's really ramped higher through the 200. And anyway, I just wanted to point that out, that the rally is expanding. We're seeing some more broadening of leadership. If you've been with me at MC Stock Chart, you know the stocks that we've been in and really haven't been paying attention to the index. I judge the markets by how our leaders are doing, and our leaders are doing great. So we think the market's doing great. We've been on green for a long time. And anyway, I just want to take a look at some rotation today that we saw back into the home builders. The home builders have been doing great and had a little bit of a pullback here. This is builder back to the 21 today. You know, it bounced a little bit yesterday and today made a new high. And that's what you want to see with leaders, you know, getting support at moving averages and just trending higher. There's nothing to do with that stock, but just, you know, for me, just sit on it. Buy right, sit tight is what they say, right? DR Horton's another one of our stocks we had on our watch list, but it's a little bit extended here, and it pulled back to its 21 as well. It sat around there for about a week in the last couple of sessions. Traded a new high today, 115. It closed there, 115, very nice. New high, we like new highs. Those are good for our portfolios. Pulte Home is another one. It's not on our leading stock list, but it certainly could be. It's got nice growth profile. And it's broke out of a base and it's just trending higher. Once again, pulled back to the 21, hung around for about a week, and the last 3 or 4 sessions just blasted higher and made new highs. So the home builder group looks great. I guess I should put on GRBK because this has been one of the leaders. Once again, same thing, you know, back to the 21, makes a high, just stalls out, trades back to the 21, ramps higher. And so, okay, that's enough for the home builder group. I'm going to move on because I got some things I want to get to today. Palo Alto Networks just one gapped higher on Monday after you know, the announcement that it's being added to the S&P 500 on June 20th, and today just kind of pulled back in lighter volume. That's what you want to see. You know, a little pullback here. Maybe it'll just kind of fan out, wait for the moving averages to catch up. The cybersecurity stocks were you know, pretty weak today and just taking the day off. But they're fine. The stocks that have been on our watch list here, you know, sometimes like I put them on and then they ramp higher and I ignore them because they're no longer actionable. But I'm hoping that some of you got all into this one. We liked it as it broke. I had an early buy point on this one here at it broke above its downtrend line. I want to say 35 or I don't know, somewhere in there. But the standard buy point is 39, you know, so it was still really actionable up until, you know, yesterday. And then it's just kind of exploded higher. But if you take a look at the weekly chart, you know, this is the old water park slide where it just comes way down for like a year, you know, almost 2 years. When did this thing start topping? November of 21, like a year and a half. Yeah, November of 21. Stopped going lower, consolidated in a stage 1 base, and now it's just breaking out. So if you think this is just the first move and it's going to be over, I kind of doubt it. The growth profile on this one's really nice. They have, you know, solid sales growth here, over 30%, triple-digit earnings growth. You know, they're going to earn over $2 next year. This is not a one of these high valuation companies with no sales and earnings growth. This is a real good company and a solid stock, and it's performing well. You can see, you know, the volume profile down here. There's really being accumulated here, and I really like the stock, but you know, it's hard for me to put it back on the watch list after it's, you know, it exploded higher after this. But definitely one that you should watch. And if it pulls back and allows the moving averages to catch up and gives you an add-on buy point, it's a really quality company. Another one that we've had on the watch list, and it kind of exploded higher today. They have earnings tomorrow, though, is SMAR Smart Sheet. I'm gonna have to take it off of the ready list because it's just too dangerous holding into earnings. We saw what happened to Okta last week, and it's just not worth the risk. You can go elsewhere. HashiCorp is another one. This one's a little different in that, it doesn't have earnings. It's got the same, the software, chart pattern where has the water park slide all the way down, just consolidates in a stage 1 base. And this one, it looks like it's been moving higher, but it's still not even at what would be a standard buy point here. They report earnings tomorrow as well, so I'm gonna have to take that off. And hopefully they deliver strong earnings. It's a real good company, and they'll probably mention AI a few times actually on their conference call if they're smart. One other stock that I don't know what I say, I really want you in, but one that could be lucrative is Monday, and this one is the same, software. These things all look the same. They just stopped going down though, and now stage 1 base here. We had an early buy point on it. I forget what it was, but now it's getting a little extended. But to me, this thing's still actionable. I mean, you're all big boys and girls. You do what you want. Press your mouse, click your mouse at your, your own desires. But to me, this stock still looks good. So anyway, that's my 2 cents. One that's on our watch list tonight is Globe. This one was foreshadowing what it might happen here. 37.31 was the high today. Then it just pulled back in. Its closing range was 24%, so the lower quartile of the closing range. But this thing just might not be ready just quite yet. And it's this 10 EMA, the green line just rising. So I'm going to keep my eye on this one. It might have to display a little patience. It might want to shake some people out before it goes higher, but definitely one that I'm going to watch. Okay, so that's enough for the software. Software is definitely doing well. Obviously, the AI is the one that sold off after earnings, but all it did is come down to its 10 EMA. Now it's bouncing higher again. So anything AI related software, semiconductor, they are showing strength. What is not showing strength is retail, and especially retail goods. But ELF is bucking the trend here. This thing, it's a clear pattern here. It gaps higher and this kind of trades sideways, gaps higher, goes sideways, gaps higher. This one pulled back to the 50, gapped higher after earnings last week, and now it's just kind of wedging higher. But it is pulling away from that 100 level, which I think is important because oftentimes that 100 level is a magnet, and it often is resistance for stocks. But ELF is having no problem with it. It's good to see some retail doing well. Speaking of retail doing well, Celsius is gapped up higher, pulled back to the 21. How often do I say that? And then ramped higher, and today just had an inside day. So Celsius looks fine. LTH, this one was on our watch list as well. You can see the pattern. Big long handle, pull back to the 21. Today it made a move up to 21.75, but then pulled back, and it was at the right in the middle of its daily range today. But LTH is funny. They run health and fitness centers, and when I go to the gym, I see all these healthy people parking near the door, like they're running marathons on the weekend, but they got to park near the door. So I park far away, so I try to get some exercise going in and out. But I don't know. That's just stuff that I think about, kind of quirky. You don't have to park near the door if you're going to get exercise, folks. Anyway, I'm going to go to the biotech stocks. Novo Nordisk, I get asked about this stock a lot, obviously with the Ozempic and Wegovy. Their problem is demand. They have too much demand. That's a real good problem to have. This stock ramped higher, and it's just consolidating in a flat-based pattern here. It's doing nothing wrong, but it's biding its time. It sliced its 50 here last week, and now I want to see it rally back above. But still, unless it gets above that 173 area, it's just in a trade range. I do expect strong earnings, and I do expect higher prices. It's just incubating right now. It needs to percolate and before it is ready to bust out of its box. TGTX, this is one that I like. I really like because no, I'm not going to say. It's just it's a good drug. It's a cheaper drug. It's helping people with multiple sclerosis. It's just going to take a long time for, them to convert people over to their drug from other drugs. Tomorrow they're at a Jefferies conference, and the CEO will be speaking. Hopefully he'll talk about May sales. But anyway, this is a nice, what I would call a bull wedge. After this big run, it retraced like 50% of this move from 1959 up to 35. Yeah, retraced half the move. And if you look at the weekly chart, I got this 30-week, this red line here. It's just kind of pulled back to this 30-week line. And I would expect at some point, I mean, this is 5 weeks in a row, it's been going down. It's not going to go down forever. And I would expect this little flag here, this weekly, to resolve higher. I don't know when. I mean, it could go down for a couple more weeks. It could retrace all the way back to its base here. Who knows? But I would eventually think that this is a story stock, and the story is going to play out. That these guys are going to they've had a successful launch and continue to take market share. Anyway, that's enough of that stock. Viking. This is one with, real good medicine. They're a little bit, they're not going to have a drug until they're going to apply next year, 2024. And they're in the oral, weight loss category 2, probably a buyout target. This one just traded down to its 21 in the last 4 or 5 sessions. Is ramped higher. Viking looks good. Anyway, I'm not going to get into too many more biotech stocks because I want to talk about gaps. Last year, gaps didn't work. Anything that gapped higher was sold off and came right back down to this gap portion. And what I've found over time is a lot of times you'll see a gap higher and they'll gap up for like 3 days. And because there's going to be some profit taking, right? People who've, been back, in this stock from here, and they see it way up here. Hey, I'm up, over 100%. I'm going to take some off the table. And then you also have short covering that, is exhausts after a few days. They get out of the stock. So for me, you'll see this often. Like a stock will gap up and go higher for 3 sessions and then just kind of pull back. Not a sharp pullback, just kind of stall. And I'm starting to see this, and I think this is bullish action here for super micro. Besides the fundamentals, which it's still a really inexpensive stock, but I'm not going to get into that. I'm just talking about the gaps. The gaps are working now. NVDA was another stock that gapped higher. This stock gapped up on a Thursday, I believe, after earnings. Then they had 3 days. Once again, 3 days. And then just to pull back, nothing big, but allowing the moving averages to catch up here. And, NVIDIA is doing nothing wrong. It's one of the leading stocks in the market, just a workhorse. And AMD as well, to a lesser extent. This one gapped up and went higher 2 days. The third day it went up and then pulled back. And it's just, forming a little, pulled back to its 10 on Monday and then gapped higher today. Was didn't gap higher, just found support and traded higher, up more than 5%. So AMD looks strong as well. But you see this a lot with gaps. I could go through a lot of these. Chipotle gapped higher after earnings, went up 3 sessions, just kind of flattened out. And that's what you want to see with these stocks, just kind of flatten out and trade with the moving averages here. Chipotle's doing nothing wrong. IMGN is another one that gapped higher. 1, 2, and the third day went up and then traded back, went sideways, and then gapped higher again on Monday on good news. Anyway, I pointed this out because I'm looking at some of these stocks that gapped last week. IoT is one of them, and it gapped higher, and today was its 3rd day. I don't know. It could go up again 4, 5, 6 days up to 35 or 40. Who knows? But I would expect at some point for it to pull back a little bit, and just allow the moving averages to catch up here and form some sort of a pennant pattern. The market, these are strong stocks, though. I mean, these are stocks that you want to find a way to get into. This is MongoDB. This is the gap up, and on Friday, then yesterday had a strong day. Today went higher, then pulled back. It was higher during the session, pulled back. So maybe it'll allow, do something like this and allow the moving averages to catch up, just kind of flag. Anyway, I bring that up because we had GitLab today here. And this one gapped higher as well, above its 200 simple moving average. And this is one that I'm going to monitor, big move with big volume. And those have been working. So that's a change of character for the market. Something, that wasn't working before is working now. So anyway, I just wanted to point that out. It's totally different market. We're on green, being aggressive. Don't have fear of, I don't have fear of, the macro people saying, where we have an impending recession and doom and gloom and all that. Just trade the price, and you can see the price is going higher in a lot of our leading stocks. And, these are the ones that I want to own, stuff like Hubs. This thing is just trending higher. I mean, what's not to like? I mean, DUOL, just trending higher. Spotify. There's a lot of them here in a lot of different groups. And if you belong to my site, you know which ones we're looking at. Anyway, that's enough for today. We never give up.